It's incumbent upon those of us who live in North America, specifically the United States of America, not to give in to the chaos, confusion, and conflict that we see playing out in front of us for the past 8 days of the new administration. Interestingly enough, I started my new year, my first podcast episode of 2025. I attended a drum circle, and in the drumming circle, we were in a public park and we were drumming using a djembe drum. I own a djembe drum and I am teaching myself how to drum on said drum. So I wanted to share some information that I found at a website, X as in xylophone, the number 8 drums.com. And it talks about, there's an article there, the significance of the djembe drum in African culture. The djembe drum holds a special place in African culture as it is often used in rituals, ceremonies, and celebrations. One, connection to ancestral spirits. The sound of the djembe is believed to connect people with their ancestors and the spiritual world. Two, community bonding. Playing the djembe drum brings people together, fostering a sense of unity and togetherness in African communities. Three, symbol of celebration. In many African societies, the djembe drum is a symbol of joy and festivity used in various cultural events and festivals. The djembe drum's significance goes beyond its musical aspects, encompassing spiritual, social, and cultural dimensions in African societies. The spiritual connection to the djembe drum in African culture, the djembe drum holds a strong spiritual connection for its players and listeners. The rhythmic beats produced by this drum are believed to evoke powerful emotions and connect individuals to their ancestors. The djembe drum symbolizes unity and community, as it is often used in sacred ceremonies and rituals. Its deep, resonant tones are thought to resonate with the spirits, creating a spiritual experience for those involved. Role of the djembe drum in traditional African music. The djembe drum holds significant spiritual and cultural importance in traditional African music. It is not just a musical instrument, but a symbol of community, history, and communication. Here are some key roles of the djembe drum in African music. The djembe drum is often used in ceremonies, rituals, and celebrations to connect people with their ancestors and the spirits. It serves as a means of storytelling, conveying emotions, and expressing cultural identities through rhythmic patterns and beats. The djembe drum is a tool for social unity, bringing people together to create harmony and foster a sense of belonging within the community. Its deep, resonant sound is believed to carry healing properties, promoting spiritual well being and emotional release during performances. Rituals and ceremonies involving the djembe drum. In African culture, the djembe drum plays a crucial role in various rituals and ceremonies. It is often used during traditional weddings, initiation ceremonies, healing rituals, and funeral ceremonies. The rhythmic beats of the djembe are believed to connect participants with their ancestors and the spiritual realm. During these ceremonies, the drum is not just a musical instrument, but a tool for communication with the divine and a symbol of cultural identity. The healing power of the djembe drum. The djembe drum has been used in African music for centuries, not just for entertainment, but also for healing. The rhythmic beats of the djembe are believed to have therapeutic qualities that can help reduce stress, promote relaxation, and even facilitate emotional release. In traditional African ceremonies, the djembe is often used to create a sense of unity and community among participants, enhancing the overall healing experience. The unique combination of sound and vibration produced by the djembe is said to resonate with the human body, promoting a sense of well being and inner peace. Djembe drumming as a form of expression. Djembe drumming is more than just making beats. It's a way for African cultures to communicate, tell stories, and connect with their ancestors. The rhythms and sounds produced by the djembe drum carry emotions, history, and traditions. Each beat is like a word in a language that is understood by those who listen carefully. The powerful vibrations from the drum are believed to reach beyond the physical realm, connecting the player and the listeners to something spiritual and ancient. Embracing the spiritual essence of the djembe drum. When playing the djembe drum, many feel a deep connection to something beyond just music. The drum's rounded shape and deep resonance are believed to embody spiritual qualities that can elevate the soul during ceremonies and gatherings. The way the drum skin vibrates in response to each touch is said to be a direct channel to the spiritual realm, allowing players to communicate with something greater than themselves. The djembe ability to convey emotions and experiences through its beats makes it a powerful tool for connecting with the divine and expressing the essence of the human experience in African music. This was an article that apparently was written on May 16th, 2024. So, with that said, I implore everyone who listens to my podcast to, you can go on YouTube, you can find African drumming videos, you can purchase African drumming CDs, um, you can find, whether in your community there may be a drumming circle, and I would urge you to participate. Um, Whenever I hear drumming, and it doesn't have to be a djembe drumming, but I think drums are used throughout most cultures in the world. In India, they have tabla drums. In Japan, they have drums. I don't know what the big drum is called, but whenever I hear drumming, it does evoke in me a spiritual connection to my ancestors. I refer to it as the heartbeat of a people. And in these times, we need to be connected to each other, connected to our heart, to heartbeats, to community, to each other. So I urge you to do whatever you can to connect with people, um, because we do need peace. We need whatever brings you peace. I would also say to you, do what you can. Use your voice. Use your particular skills to spread truth, to share information, to share knowledge, to witness, be a witness if you see things that do not sit well with you in your spirit. The only way we will be able to get through what we are currently experiencing is by relying upon community, however you define community. For some, that can be your family, that can be friends, that can be any number of things, but we the people have the power to affect change. And part of why we are in the current situation that we're in is because of change, specifically fear of change. And indeed, with all the chaos, confusion, and conflict, the goal is to keep us in a constant state of fear, which is why I would recommend if you watch the news, do so in limited, very limited doses, because regrettably, it cannot be said that all news anchors or stations are created equal. I think sometimes part of the problem has been that they have failed to call out some of the shiggity which has gone on. And as a consequence, we've become, if you will, immune or somewhat callous to events as they unfold. I remember 8 years ago when 45 first came into office. Every day, every day, there was something new that was reported in the news that would constantly keep you off kilter and in a state of frenzy, turmoil, and fear. We're better than that. We, the people, can affect change, and that's what we have to do. We have to use our voices, the power of elected officials, meaning we have to write, email, show up on their doorsteps, whatever we need to do to express our displeasure with events that are happening. It is indeed regrettable that fear, it's a primal emotion, and fear and misinformation are being used in a manner to divide. I would implore people to do their research, to meet with people who you trust, that you know do the homework, and if they share information, you know it's a trusted source. There have been instances when I have shared information, and if I later determine that the information that I shared was incorrect, I correct it, because the bottom line is, we're all responsible for our actions and the consequences of our actions. We know that music, art, literature, historically, are vehicles through which political statements are made. Um, it's how we as a people have chronicled our journey. It's how other people document their journey. And it's really important in these days and times that we use these tools to share our experiences and document for future generations what this time has represented. It's indeed a shame that so much of history is being systematically erased and being replaced with lies. So many things are no longer being taught in school or in college. Books are being banned and burned. And if any of this reminds you of another event which happened in history, you would be correct. But again, you would even have those individuals who deny that the Holocaust even took place. What is the world coming to? Is our memory so short that we don't recall these events which happened not that many years ago? Are we so callous and uncaring that you can't empathize, sympathize, put yourself in the shoes of those individuals who were being targeted? Again, we have to do our part. We have to say something, do something. I think it's really important, especially since in a few days we will be coming up on Black History Month, that we use the month of February, as we always do, to learn about African Americans, the role they've played in the creation of what we call the United States of America. How, but for the Native Americans who are indigenous to the United States of America, or Turtle Island as they refer to it. Everybody, everybody was an immigrant and came from some place. The first settlers were fleeing religious persecution in England and unnecessary taxation. That was but a mere maybe 2 or 3 generations ago. So, how is it possible that these same immigrants now have no feeling or concern for what's currently happening to immigrants? It is indeed regrettable that people were told and made aware of Project 2025, which was a blueprint essentially for the dismantling of the federal government as we know it. Recent events have done nothing to change that. In fact, I thought I had something here that chronicled all of the things that have indeed been carried out that were part of Project 2025. I can't find the list right now, but what I'll do is I'll attach it um, as I normally do when I speak about or when I post on my social media that I've created a new podcast episode. Everything, everything is under attack. And if we say nothing, do nothing, then we are tacitly agreeing that it's okay. And I certainly hope that it is not okay with most of the uh, people who live in the United States. It's regrettable that for those of us who did not vote for the current individual, that we all will pay the price of him essentially attempting to, as I previously said, do away with the federal, well, with the legislative branch of the government and cede all of the power in the executive branch. In essence, doing away with all federal agencies and workers to become, quote, a CEO, or in the words of JD Vance, CEO is interchangeable in his mind with dictatorship, which again, um, this was all clearly shared throughout the political cycle. It was dismissed as being hyperbole, as, oh no, he can't possibly do any of the things he, quote, claimed he would do. But then again, he claimed that he knew nothing about Project 2025. Yet, the architects of Project 2025 were people who had been part of his administration, had been part of his cabinet. So let's take a quick look because I did find the graphic. Things that Project 2025 said they would do. In no fault divorce. Not happened yet, but I'm sure it will. Complete ban on abortions without exceptions. Hmm? We're getting there. Ban contraceptives. I think we're going to get there too. Additional tax breaks for corporations in the 1%. Higher taxes for the working class. Elimination of unions and worker protections. Raise the retirement age. Cut Social Security. Cut Medicare. End the Affordable Care Act. Raise prescription drug prices. Now, in fact, he's been in office for approximately 8 days, 9 days as I do this podcast. And he has issued, I can't recall how many executive orders, many of which are illegal and aren't worth the paper that they're written on. But this is part of the plan to create chaos, confusion, conflict, and to instill fear because he signed so many executive orders, people who basically are not willing to do the research, who are not familiar with how the Constitution and the amendments work, for them to become inundated and just be like, oh my God, you know, and just acquiesce. But for those of us that have knowledge, we have to persist and resist and share information. So, indeed, there is an executive order where he is raising prescription drug prices. Now, as all of these executive orders have been signed, lawsuits have been filed, so stay tuned. Other things on Project 2025: eliminate the Department of Education, use public taxpayer money for private religious schools, teach Christian religious beliefs in public schools. Now, remember when I said when the United States was initially colonized, it was to escape religious persecution, and separation of church and state has always been a bedrock principle of who we are as a people in the United States. So, how is it, why is it that you have a small segment of the religious community, in quotation marks, that wishes to impose their religious belief upon all of us? In free and discounted school lunch programs. Well, just today, there was an attempt by the president to cease all funding for a bunch of programs, but apparently they didn't realize what they were doing. And as people said, oh, hail to the gnaw, they backtracked. As governors in all of the states practically pushed back and said, this is not going to work. We're not going along with this. They tried to claim that there had been snafus in the system, um, And so they've not moved forward with some of the things that they were attempting to do: eliminate SNAP benefits, eliminate um, vouchers for rent, eliminate school breakfast and lunch programs, eliminate, you know, care for veterans under Medicaid programs. They have issued an executive order to end civil rights and diversity, equity, and inclusion protection in government. They've also banned African American and gender studies in all levels of education. While they've not yet banned books and curriculum about slavery in the state of Florida where I live, that in fact has happened and has happened in other states as well. They have issued executive orders ending climate protections, increasing Arctic drilling, deregulating big business and the oil industry, promoting and expediting capital punishment. They've engaged and are engaging in mass deportation of immigrants and incarceration into camps. They have ended birthright citizenship, which is the 14th Amendment. They also have banned Muslims from entering the country. Does that sound familiar? We did that once again in 45's first administration. Eliminate federal agencies like the FDA, EPA, NOAA, and more. So, other things that have not yet happened, but I'm sure are on the drawing board: in marriage equality, condemn single mothers while promoting only, in quotation marks, traditional families, defund the FBI and Homeland Security, use the military to break up domestic protests, continue to pack the Supreme Court and lower courts with right wing judges. So these are just some of the highlights of Project 2025, some of which have been accomplished through the use of executive orders. Again, we have to stay vigilant. We have to share information, and we have to do whatever we need to do because we, the people, have the power to affect change. I want to end with a poem by Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide. Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bring the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Moving forward, we have to rise. We, the people, have to use our throat chakras. We, the people, have to tap into the music that got us through the 60s and the 70s, the protest songs of old. And for me, I guess one of my favorite protest songs was Sam Cooke's song, A Change Is Gonna Come. And if you're not familiar with the words to that song, I suggest you Google them and bear in mind that we, the people, by having open hearts, open minds, by coming together as communities, as a community, as a people, that we can affect change and that we can make a difference. Don't get caught up in the chaos, the confusion, the conflict, the shiggity. Don't give in to fear. Or if you give into it for a minute or two, but don't make it your home where you dwell in it all the time, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to be in fear. They want to overwhelm you, shock and awe you with all of the things they throw out seemingly every day to wear you down, to wear you out, to make you live in a state of fear. Instead, persist and resist. As usual, thank you for listening. And remember, we can make a difference through love, empathy, and compassion.